Hi, this is Chris, Video Game Dust Sleeves, and you're listening to the VGDS podcast with BonesZ06,
How's it going?
DanCavDragon,
Hello.
and new to the podcast, guest gamer, Iowa Retro Gamer Dad.
Hey, how you doing?
First segment is Sleeve It or Leave It. The first game is Decap Attack. Dan, would you sleeve it or leave it?
I would actually pass on this game. For some reason, I don't like this game that much.
You don't
I don't have this in my collection even.
You don't even like the box art? The box art is pretty cool.
Maybe if I had it in my collection, I would sleeve it, but I don't have it.
Bones?
Actually, in my collection either. I like the box art, so yeah, 3D popped. That would be tempting, but other than that, I probably wouldn't sleeve it. But 3D popped, yeah, that would look pretty cool with that.
Iowa Retro Gamer Dad? Sleeve it or leave it?
Like the other ones said, I actually do not have this one in my collection. But I seen it, didn't really know much about it till last year. But I love the play on the words on the name, decapitate and decapitate. And like Bones said, if you can get a 3D one where his head was popping off the sleeve, I would definitely sleeve it then. But otherwise, I'd just leave it.
All right, now we got like a new thing going on Instagram. I post a poll, and Bandana Gamer responded with "leave it," and nobody else responded, but it was seen 39 times. So it's getting seen out there, but people just aren't replying. The next game, Alex Kidd in Miracle World in the Sega Master System. Bones, sleeve it or leave it?
I'd sleeve that.
Dan?
Yeah, this game is definitely worth leaving. It's a fun game to play, and it's getting a lot of exposure in 2021 because they just made a remake of this game. So yeah, I would sleeve it.
And Zach?
I would just have to say leave it just because I haven't actually played the game. But I did hear about that the remake that came out, and I would definitely like to at least try it out before. But I don't really have too much experience with the Master System, so I would have to probably leave it.
And again, with the Instagram poll, thanks to Melissa97, she is the one that came up with this idea to try to get more feedback from others that aren't participating in the podcast. Bandana Gamer, again, he responded to this as a leave it, and this was seen 36 times. The next title is Game Shoe for the Nintendo. Zach, sleeve it or leave it?
Well, I'd probably have to leave it. I know it's one of those kind of quirky little Nintendo games they had to use a zapper for. I'm not sure. Is this the one where you could shoot the guys if they popped up on the screen through the doors?
No, that's Hogan's Alley.
Okay, so I'd probably sleep Hogan's Alley, but this one I'd probably have to pass on.
Dan?
Yeah, in terms of light gun games, it wasn't one of my favorites, but just because of it's a black label Nintendo game, and that seems to be pretty nostalgic these days, I would just leave it.
And Bones?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to pass on that one too. That's definitely not top on my list to get sleeved.
Okay, and the Instagram poll was seen 32 times, and Bandana Gamer responded with "leave it." The last title for Sleeve It or Leave It is Demon's Crest for Super Nintendo. Dan, sleeve it or leave it?
Definitely sleeve. This is a highly sought after game. I would definitely sleeve it.
Zach?
Yeah, like definitely sleeve it. Very valuable. Yeah, I would have to sleeve it.
Bones?
Yeah, that's still on my list to reacquire again, so when I get it, I'm definitely going to get a sleeve for it.
Reacquire? Why'd you get rid of it the first time?
When I was a kid and I got rid of it.
Ah, man.
It's a very weird game.
And Instagram poll is 28 people seen it. 2 people actually replied to this. Tony's Entertainment said sleeve it, and Bandana's Gamer also said sleeve it. So Bandana actually sleeved one this round. All right, next segment here. Again, it's my wife's edition of Guess That Box Art. Any clue on the first game here? Dan, you got a guess?
Shoo.
This is an Atari 2600 game.
The blue one with the star and the Saturn, right?
Mm-hmm.
Atari 2600. I don't have a clue. 2600. No, I don't have a clue.
Bones? Anything?
It looks like part of an alien.
Yeah, you're on the right track.
I don't know. Space invaders? I don't know.
Zach, any guesses?
I have no idea.
Zero
I'm
clue.
looking at it.
All right, so I'll give you another clue. This game is actually another game which came out on 2600, but it's the longer version of that game. Basically, the title is a longer title. It starts with an E.
E.T.
You got the game. So what's ET stand for?
Extraterrestrial.
Exactly. That's what it is.
Yeah. That's funny. I was just listening to the
Extraterrestrials.
podcast. You guys were talking about that last time.
Yeah, this is the exact one I was talking about.
Wait, what is
Get out.
Wait, this is ET?
Extraterrestrials. No, it's not ET. It's
okay.
extraterrestrials.
I didn't even know they had such a thing.
Yeah. Well, there you go, Dan. It's a new game for you to look at.
Well,
Okay, the next image. Bones, any guesses?
Oh my God.
This is a well-known.
No.
This is a well-known. It's probably not so much game, but maybe movie.
The Running Man.
No. You want a console, guys? Sega Master System.
Huh.
I think I know it.
I was gonna say you have to come up with this, huh?
Uh,
I was thinking at first it was like Operation Logic Bomb just by the colors and the. But otherwise, it only reminds me of the cover of Iron Man.
Well, the colors play an important part on this too,
Yeah.
because this is like, if I would tell you the game, you'd be like, yes, that's exactly that color, like that color lineup. There's no regard to like how perfect of a match that is. So, Dan, did you have a guess?
Yeah, I mean, when I first saw this, I was like, this is way too small to make a guess. But then I was like, it looks kind of cartoony. So I was like, maybe Dick Tracy?
Yes, you got it. That's it.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I don't have that Dick Tracy game.
But like when I said movie, I was like, oh, maybe I'll get a movie.
No, I was staring at it. I literally couldn't figure that out to save my life. I didn't even know there was a Dick Tracy game on Master System.
No,
Oh,
I knew about the NES one, but
Yeah.
All right, Bones. Take it away.
We're going to move on to logo sleeve of the month here. This logo sleeve we're featuring this month is our guest gamer, Iowa Retro Gamer Dad. And these sleeves are for sale. Contact Chris. He can hook you up with one, and all proceeds that made on these sleeves go right to Iowa Retro Gamer Dad. Also, I like to include, which I'm going to try to always say it, that you can get these in any sleeve, 64 NES, whatever you want, can be an Iowa Retro Gamer Dad sleeve. Just out of curiosity, Zach, we all like to know, what game do you think people should put in your dust sleeve if they purchase one?
oh,
Could be any system, since they could pick whatever one they would want, 64 or NES. So what game would you think would be good in that dust sleeve?
well, if we're not looking for something valuable, one of my favorite games of all times, and and one of the first few games I always remembered playing as a kid was Super Mario Brothers 3. It just there's some of my early memories of anything, video gaming and stuff like that. It's always been that turning it on and back in the day not knowing anybody blowing in the game or slapping the side of the Nintendo to get it to line up just right, and the stage set with the curtain going up and then Mario jumping across, and even movies like Three Ninjas and stuff like that, being like, oh my god, they're playing Super Mario 3 in the beginning when their mom was coming
Yes,
up
they
the
are. I
stairs.
remember that movie.
Yeah, and that was it's just always been so nostalgic. I even got a big, I mean, if you guys follow the channel or watch it recently, I had Russ Lyman make me a Super Mario Brothers 3 theme.
Yes,
Nintendo,
I saw that on your channel. Yep.
Yep, and then I got the big Super Mario Brothers 3 poster in my room. And it's just played a big important role in me getting into gaming. So I'd have to go with the good old Super Mario Brothers 3.
That's a good choice.
Yeah, so
Very
good
good
that the last guy said that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's funny too? Another movie that they're playing Mario 3 in is Beethoven, and they're both sitting there playing it like they're playing together at the exact same time, fighting over things in the game. I get the next one. It's one player at a time. But they're playing Mario 3 in that too.
That's
That's a top line game right there for sure.
I love your logo, by the way, with the NES box. Did you design that yourself?
So originally, I have a buddy on Instagram that him and his I don't know if he necessarily does it, but his wife, they're from the UK, I believe, and that's what they do is they do digital artwork and everything with that. So I just I sent him a picture and I was like, can you make it kind of look cool, like a 8-bit and everything, and then I kind of wanted just originally to have it like on a NES cartridge, and he said, well, he did everything, and then he came back, and then he was obviously like, well, what's Iowa? And I'm like, well, it's a state over here. So he's like, and he's like, well, and I'm like, oh, it's a state. So he's like, oh, well, I'll do like the whole little nice little seal, Nintendo seal, but I'll put the state layout on there and some other stuff like that, and yeah, so I was like, just gotta make it look 8-bit and do your own thing, and that's what he came up with.
The whole idea of the back of that sleeve, though, that was me, Dan. Him shooting through the logos.
Yep, pew pew. That was. I remember you showed me that, and I was like, that is freaking awesome.
I just thought of like, what can he like? He's pointing the gun. The gun has to do something.
Pew pew pew.
All right, Dan, take it away.
All right, franchise of the month. We will discuss a franchise every podcast. I think we're talking about Flintstones offline amongst us, but I wanted to put it formally into the podcast as a franchise. So I will start off by saying I have never played any Flintstones game for any system, so I will have zero comment on this segment.
Wow, Dan, you got a lot of Flintstones games to buy.
But doing my research for this franchise, I found out there's quite a few Flintstones games out there, and I'm surprised I never played any of them. So I am very curious to see if you guys have played any of them, which ones are good, which ones are worth checking out. And yeah, maybe I will buy one in a later episode. So let's see who wants to start. I guess Bones, where do you want to start with you?
Oh, I'm looking at all of the Flintstones games that you have up here. Is that one of the movies, it looks like, for the Game Boy?
Yes.
It looks like movie characters.
Yeah, the one in the middle.
In the middle,
Yeah.
They did, and then the one on the Super NES game on the right is
also a
based
movie. Yep.
That's also based on a movie.
Well, I've played both of the NES ones. I have them. They're decent games. Like I enjoy playing them.
Are they
I don't
platformers?
think they're this great game that you have to play, but they're decent games.
Are they platformers, Bones?
What's that?
Are they platformers?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know. I never played
it. There's nothing like so great about the game. Like the Flintstones Surprise at Dinosaur Peak. If you get to play it, you get to play it. If not, you get a ROM and you play it. It's not worth the money compared to the other games. You might as well just play the first one. It's not that much of a fucking difference in my opinion in the game. The Genesis one I have not played. I do want to get. It's unfortunately I've kind of looked at the wrong time, and it's $100, like pretty much minimum in box for the most part. So yeah, that's kind of been put on the back burner. But I mean, so far, the Flintstone games for the NES are the decent ones. I haven't played the Super Nintendo one. I might have it, but I don't believe I do. No, I just looked at my inventory. I do not have that game. So I've never even played any of the other ones except for the Master System one. And we're not going to talk about that game because it is absolute garbage. Do not play it. Do not buy it. It is not worth your time, effort, or energy. So that's pretty much what I think of the Flintstones. Stick with the two for the NES. And I haven't played the Sega one. But I heard the Sega one's good. I'm sure one of you guys has heard that the Sega one's good as well.
All right. Let's go with Zach, Ira, Retro Gamer Dad. How about you and Flintstones? Any experience with this franchise?
Honestly, the only thing I know about it was how pissed off I was one time because I was on Mercari shopping for games and I missed out on I think it was the Dinosaur Peak one, the really rare, expensive one on the NES. And I remember somebody selling it for like $10-15 and just missing out on it.
Wow.
And it was in a lot with some other games too, but otherwise I just kind of noticed this earlier, so I was kind of just taking a peek at some of the gameplay on YouTube. And they look like some pretty solid platforming games. Obviously the NES ones look like they kind of almost remind me of like Adventure Island and stuff almost. Or just playing. I had no experience with them. I do see like the Super Nintendo one looks kind of creepy because they tried to do the realistic movie faces.
That is creepy looking.
Yeah,
the Game Boy one's creepy looking too.
Yeah, good movies.
Yeah,
Good cartoon.
for sure.
Yeah.
I think I love the one with John Goodman. Those are cool.
Yeah, most of these games are affordable, except the Dinosaur Peak will cost you about $2,000 to get if you want. Chris, tell me you played at least one Flintstones game.
Yeah, honestly, Dan, I haven't played one. Not even one Flintstones game.
Join the club. Join the club.
I don't even.
So many of them.
I don't even own a Flintstones game.
Yeah, I don't either. Yeah.
Well, don't make the Master System your first one.
But I want to.
Well, you'd have to get like the Tech Toy Brazilian version. So
that's the only way it came out, right, Bones?
yeah, it's for our area. Otherwise, you can get it. It was released in PAL.
Okay.
But the Tech Toy one is like I think Brazil or something. Dan, you know where they were from, right?
Tech Toy, yeah, it's just like South America, yeah, Brazil.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look that up eventually.
Yeah, I don't know how much that goes for though. But
It's not terrible. It's like $100,
uh,
but it's not worth $1.
But all right, thanks guys for sharing your thoughts on the Flintstones. I'm intrigued by the creepy movie face SNES version, so maybe I'll check that out. Stay tuned. All right.
All right. This is where we get to talk a little bit with Zach from Iowa Retro Gamer Dad. You can just tell us a little bit about yourself and possibly what you collect, what you game, what kind of consoles you have, stuff like that, and tell us about your YouTube channel.
All right. So, yep. Zach, obviously, I'm from Iowa. right
I would hope
dab
you're
in
from Iowa.
yeah, that's smack dab in the middle of the states. Good old Midwest, where our specialty is chili and cinnamon rolls. A lot of people don't know that, and a lot of people seem grossed out when I say that. But yeah, that's what we love around here. I obviously I'm also a dad. I have 3 boys. 2 of them were step boys, and the third one was actually a biological one. They are 16, 15, and 4 years old. My wife, I met my wife a couple years ago through the good old Facebook, and we just kind of hit it off right away, and then went from there. And I was intrigued by she had 2 sons prior, so that was kind of fun going from single bachelor dude to dad figure in a short amount of time.
For sure.
But gaming was a big part of that. They were really into Minecraft and playing Call of Duty and stuff like that. And I've always been a huge gamer, so we were able to start bonding right away.
Nice.
And I joked around with them because I was like, "Oh, you guys are playing Minecraft? Oh, what is this?" And then I ended up downloading it offline, but when I was at home to see what they were so into, and I even got hooked on playing Minecraft for a while. But other than that, I was saying earlier with Super Mario Brothers 3, I started gaming at such a young age, and you started off obviously with the NES. I really, I was born in '87, so Atari was still before me, and I never really got around to playing that one. But my uncle had a Nintendo, and he was only a couple years older than I was. My grandma had like 7 kids. My dad was the oldest, and he was the youngest. So he was only a couple years older than I was. So I remember going over there around Christmas and stuff and playing the NES, and then I remember getting one and just loving the video gaming from the start. I was always such a shy kid and stuff growing up, so video games were amazing to me because I could just, I didn't have to go out and meet with people and stuff like that. I could just sit home and play games. So started playing NES, and I got a Sega, and all my buddies got Super Nintendos, so that was pretty rough growing up. I remember just wanting to go over there all the time and, let's play Super Mario World, let's play this, and they'd come over to my house, and I'd be like, bring your Super Nintendo over to my house.
Yeah. That's the funny thing, though. Like, that's how pretty much all of us were in our own areas. Was you had one console, and usually your friend had the other. It's just how it worked, and that wasn't a bad thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go play.
No, it was great. We got to play all different kinds
variety,
of games.
right?
Yep, and I remember, when PlayStation first came on the scene, everybody was so into Nintendo that everybody got the Nintendo 64. Well, I was the odd man out there, too. I don't know what the history of that, why I was always the odd one, but I ended up getting a PlayStation, and I remember everybody always wanting to come over to my house to play Crash Bandicoot and stuff like that, and me wanting to go over to their house to play in Mario 64 and stuff, and it was really cool because, I was just back going. The consoles were indestructible, so you can bring them over to your buddy's house all the time. And nowadays, I hate to move my Xbox or something just to dust around it because I'm afraid it's gonna not start back up.
How about it?
Yeah. Otherwise, just saying about that, grew up playing gaming and stuff like that, and then like I said, the shyness and stuff like that ended up leading to down the road. Just sitting at home gaming, and then I started reading books, and I turned into a huge nerd, so I got really into RPGs and stuff like that, and just got obsessed with those, and then just been gaming my whole life. And then just, a little more about me was just that recovering alcoholic addict with about 8 years of sobriety.
Congrats.
So thank you. So I worked on, and when I first sobered up again, video games became a big important part of my life. Was just kind of something to do, focus on something else, and it just seems like the older I get, the less time I get to play. So it's just yeah, it's just kind of like that. And, and just a little bit about the YouTube channel. I originally started the YouTube channel with dreams of becoming famous, the next metal Jesus and stuff like that, and it was very humbling in the beginning to see how hard it is to actually get a very, very successful YouTube channel growing. So then it turned into, like I said, very humbling. So right off the back, I kind of the passion started showing through, my passion for gaming and stuff like that, and then just getting involved in the community, meeting all the people that collect games, have their own channels, and sharing my passion with a bunch of other people that are just as passionate as I am. So, and then all the food challenges and all that stuff, that just kind of came later as something fun to do.
Yeah.
They always told me I ate fast.
And you also do things for charity, right?
Yes. That was kind of I was on Instagram one time, and I can't remember the channel. But they were resellers and thrifters, and they made a bunch of extra money that year. So what they ended up doing was doing a video on Instagram where they went through Walmart, where they bought some toys for some kids, and then they donated it to a local shelter. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's cool. So I was like, I want to do something like that because, like I said, being in recovery and doing stuff like that, I really wanted to give back more to give back more to the community, and also be an even better role model, for my children. And so that kind of started doing that. And the first year, it was great. I think we raised about $400. I was able to fill up a van full of toys, and I dropped it off at the local shelter, and they were super happy, and it was a really good feeling. And I'm not gonna lie, with any of that stuff, I walked out of there feeling probably the best I've felt that whole year, and just that feeling right there made me want to keep pushing on and doing that. And so this year was the second annual time doing that, and my goal was just to kind of, as much as we raised last year, I think it was about $500 a show. Nice. And I think we had that in 2 days, and we pushed forward, and yeah, I think we're sitting right now, I honestly, my game room's crowded right now because I have all these toys all over the place, because we raised about $1,300, and then so here in a couple weeks, my wife and I we still got about $900 left. We're gonna go to Walmart, and we might have to take 2 trips because so much. But yeah, there's Paw Patrol. Oh, there's just stuff all over in here. So yeah, and just doing stuff like that, and to kind of help raise money for that, I just started off eating spicy stuff and just doing some off the wall stuff. They donated so much money, I was gonna see how fast I can eat a large pizza, and I ended up eating it under 10 minutes. And
holy crap!
It was it was just doing some fun little stuff around here to try and help raise money for a good cause and have fun while doing it.
Do you collect to complete, or do you just collect what you want to play?
That it changes all the time. I am very compulsive. Sometimes I will collect everything in sight. Sometimes I will sell everything in sight, and then sometimes I will just think that I will only want to grab the games that I loved as a kid. When I first started collecting, it was very hard not to grab everything in sight, because I remember being a kid and growing up, we didn't have much money. So the only time I ever got video games was on my birthday or Christmas, and if I should save up some money doing something here and there. But when I had being a full-grown, adult now with a full-time job and stuff like that, I was like, oh, I wanted this game as a kid. I wanted this game as a kid, and I just started buying everything in sight. And my wife got nervous the one time because I came home from work and there was probably about a good 4 or 5 packages sitting out in front of the house and for me. And she's like, "What did you get?" And I was, I just bought some games. And then I'm coming down here, and then I'm go giggly opening up all these packages with all these games, and then Like, oh, I really wanted to play this one as a kid, and I popped it in, and I played it for 10 minutes, and I shut it off, and I'm like, that game's horrible. I was just like, why did I want that one? And then it started off, because I got addicted to it, doing it, and, I'm always talking about recovery and stuff, and I'm always going to have that addicted personality, but I was sitting there in my free time, eBay, Mercari, Facebook Marketplace, everything, just trying to find games to buy, and I really burned myself out in the beginning, so I took a good break for a while, but it was just I'm kind of at this moment just looking to collect for games that I kind of want to play, or that I'm interested in someday maybe playing, or just trying to find games that I had as a kid that I want to replay that over the years I've either forgot about or just wanted to play, or my friends had.
What's your favorite console? Is it NES?
Favorite console? Oh, I would have to say, that's a tough one. I was never really a fanboy for any certain consoles. I mean, I would have to either go with either the NES or the original PlayStation, just because the NES was one of the first video games, consoles I ever played. So there's a lot of memories with certain NES games on there, like Jackal, Russian Attack, American Gladiators, stuff like that. Renting those games and playing them with my sister or my uncle as a kid. Otherwise, it would have to be the original PlayStation, because that was kind of when my first core memories and stuff were really starting to set in of gaming, playing stuff like Breath of Fire 3, Final Fantasy 7, Spyro, Crash Bandicoot. Those were like right in the prime of, I think, being around 9, 10, and just wanting to game all the time. And that was, I'd have to say either the original NES or the original PlayStation.
So you gravitate more to towards RPGs, or are you just like an any type of game kind of player?
When I was younger, it was definitely RPGs. And I was listening in the last podcast that I do not have the time to really sink into an RPG and get immersed in the world and the story. I'm very interested in fantasy and sci-fi, so RPGs have always been my thing. I've really story-driven games and stuff like that. I do play about anything. I'm not too big into racing games, but I will pop in the occasional arcade racer or something, and I will occasionally play Madden, or I like to play some of the older arcadey football games, like NFL Blitz, or I wanted to get around to doing a video about Mutant League football, and
you have that
stuff like. I do not have it. I have it on my Retro Pi, but I remember growing up that one in the hockey game.
Yeah, that's always been
it all the time.
There are always been those two games have always been games on my radar that I eventually want to get.
Yeah, and I just remember as a kid I'd get it and just trying to just the cool design, the arcadey feel, and it was just so fun. And then my friends would come over. We just laughed so much at the game. It was just a cool, different, out of the box game.
Right.
So I've always been looking for one of those, but it was very good. And I never got around to playing the 360 one. That they redid the football one on the 360 and PS3, I believe, and I've been wanting to play that.
I did not know that.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I believe it was last generation that came out with I want to say a remaster or kind of an updated one. I don't know how well it actually did, but
Right.
I've been wanting to play it.
Was that, if that's digital only or is that physical too?
I think it's both. Honestly, I'm not 100% sure.
All right, so one more question from me, and then I'll give it over to the other guys. What is the worst game in your collection currently?
Worst game in my collection?
Yes.
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It was kind of a gimmick to get after watching the Angry Video Game Nerd.
Right.
but that was kind of one of the ones I got, and then I was just gonna play it because I knew it was a bad game, and then I was just like, as soon as I put it in, I was like, why did I get this? And then it's just kind of been a funny thing to hold on to just because of how much he hated the game and how much.
I mean, sometimes the funny thing is about bad games, it's just they're fun to play. Sometimes they're just
yeah.
You know you're not going to do good, so.
Yep. Otherwise, I don't really know any other banners I held on to. They've had any value. I've gotten rid of them. Otherwise, yeah, I'd have to say probably Dr. Jekyll and Hyde.
My last question right here now is I know you have the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle game. You still have that, right?
And I got that awesome 3D box you made for me. The colors.
That's what I was just about to ask you about. How is that 3D sleeve holding up?
Oh, it is amazing. I love it so much, and I had my buddy. He doesn't have a YouTube channel, but he also collects video games, and he lives in Colorado right now. And he came down, and that was one of the first things I had to show him. And I told him, the whole story behind it was I originally just wanted. They based, I think, the original one off the comic, and I think originally all 4 turtles were just the red color.
Yes, they're red. Yep.
And then I was just like, it'd be so cool as if you could just, change the colors up to what colors they're supposed to be, like, later on. And then when you threw out that 3D idea and then showed me it was just amazing. And it's up in my backdrops and stuff with my boxed NES and stuff like that. And he didn't even know I had the actual box game underneath of it too, that it slid over. He thought it was just a cool little thing. I said, no, it's actually protecting the box and everything too. So yeah, that's one of my favorite things in my collection.
Awesome. All right, guys, which one wants to go, Bones or Dan?
I'll go.
All right, Bones.
Okay, so I'm on 7 years sober at this point. I haven't had a drink in 7 years.
Congrats, Bones.
I'm on that same train with you, my friend.
Hell yeah, one day at a time.
Crazy games and controllers is what I'm going to ask you first off. And this is in the ballpark of, you can go with the Power Glove or dance pads or anything along those lines. Steering wheels. Do you enjoy all those accessories and those style games? Guitar Heroes, Rock Bands?
So, there was when the Guitar Hero craze hit. I remember, just being drunk at parties and stuff like that, and just having fun with it then, or sitting around with my buddies and just playing that. I never actually owned it myself, because at the time, I didn't have much money, and it was like we had to drop like $150 or whatever for the game and the guitar. So I was never really too into that. So all my friends that had it and stuff, it was really fun. Otherwise, I picked up a power pad for the NES at a thrift store about last year or so for $5, and I've been meaning to hook it up because I never actually really messed with one of them. Just watched the video, and the Power Glove has always interested me in it. I've always just wanted to own one, just to own one, probably not to actually, or just to try it out once. But if we're going about some of the accessories and stuff like that, I recently just picked up a PlayStation VR, and I haven't actually sat down and played any of the VR games yet, but I did last night mess around with just having it on and playing Borderlands 2, and that's crazy. Never would have thought, we would ever. Well, I knew someday there'd be VR and stuff like that out as a kid, and I remember just thinking how awesome it'd be after watching all these sci-fi movies, and just thinking about sitting down and being able to sit in a room and just playing a game without actually moving and stuff. But one thing I've always wanted, and I remember being in junior high and looking at video game magazines and being like, this is crazy, but it's the big old setup for that Steel Battalion game on the Xbox. I always thought that would be super cool to have. I know it's ridiculously expensive, and it was ridiculously expensive when it first came out, but having that whole mech set up with all the buttons and the joysticks, that's like, watching Aliens, Gundam, and stuff like that as a kid, just dreaming of being able to sit in a big mech like that and control it would have been really cool.
Yeah, it's not easy to use. There's a lot of buttons.
It looked. I remember us just
It's
looking
got
at.
subtitles, everything. It's crazy, Zach.
Yeah, I was just remember looking at the Electronic Gaming Monthly as a kid and thinking how cool it was, and now as an adult, yeah, like you said, it's got buttons for everything. As a kid, I'd probably get it and be so excited and then play it and give up on it right away because it'd probably be too hard for me with all the buttons and stuff. But it was just something cool to see and just think about. Yeah, someday being able to drive a huge mech around or something.
Yeah, and like let me tell you, I suck at it, and I mean I suck at it. But it still is so fun to just play with a 40-something button controller. It's just great because you're not going to get that experience. That you're right. That was something that was a real oddball that came out.
Yeah, and that was and that was the only thing the controller was good for was that game, and
yeah,
it was a cool gimmick. But someday I hope to get it, but it probably will not happen.
Well, you just got a VR. You never know.
Yeah,
I'm pissed that Borderlands is only a digital game. I really wish they would have did physical for that.
and I played just the regular game, just not the VR game, and then I'm dropped. If the latest video, I picked up a PS4, and then I got the PlayStation VR, and then I'm sitting there last night, and then I noticed that they have Skyrim for VR, and I'm like, oh, and then I'm like, they got Borderlands 2 for VR, and I'm just sitting there like, oh, and I've picked up so many PS4 games, and I'm still just playing the first one that I played, and I told my wife, and I was like, I gotta stop, man. I haven't even played any of the other games I got. I'm picking up games that are probably 40 plus hours to complete, but I'm still kind of. Talking about this mech, there is a game that I picked up with the VR when I got yesterday, and it's called Rigs, and it looks like you are in a mech and you're kind of jumping around and stuff like that. So.
Is that the one that you're in outer space, jumping from piece to piece to piece?
This one looks more like it says Riggs Mechanical Combat League. It looks kind of like like a little jumping around and shooting each other. I think it's just kind of a basic combat game, but yeah, that looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I didn't play the Riggs one yet. I have it, but I haven't played it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Another question is, since you were big into the PlayStation 1, I love the PlayStation 1 for one sole fact. That's one of my greatest memories is having two PS1s hooked up with two TVs with the link cable with Doom going. Have you ever done that, Zach?
What? We have not. I did not know you could do that the longest time growing up because, like I said, I was one of the few that had the PlayStation while everybody else had the 64. But I do remember my buddy going over to his house one time. And he had a multi-tab, and we're just astonished by that because they'd only had the two slots for players, and going over to your buddy's house after school and then being like, okay, we're gonna play. I want to say like NFL Blitz or something like that, and we'd be like, okay, well I'm gonna play first, and well it's my house, so I get to play every time, so I'll just play each one of you, one at a time. And I remember my buddy actually showing up one day and having a multi-tab, and we hooked that up, and then we all ran back to our houses quick, got a controller, and came back, and just all four of us playing at one time, thinking this is the coolest thing ever, and then the one buddy being like, well, I could do this anytime with the N64. And we're like, what? And we were like, yeah, we're just astonished by it. It's like, yeah, but this is PlayStation, and and it was really crazy, and we never did it with the PlayStation, but I remember system linking the original Xbox and going over to my buddy's house who had like 5 brothers, and they had like 4 rooms in the basement, and the mom yelling at us because she tried to come downstairs to do laundry or something, and she tripped over a cord because we had the system link going from each room to each room, all of us playing Halo at once and just screaming and swearing and all that, and she kicked us out because she was carrying a hamper and she tripped over the cord and almost dropped everything and fell down, and she had no idea what we were doing.
Oh man, that's awesome. I'll just ask one more. What's your favorite game to play with your 2 oldest boys?
Oh, let's see here. I introduced him one night to NBA Jam, and
yes.
on the Super Nintendo, because they're really into sports and
He's on fire.
and yeah, and that's what and then boom shakalaka, and just like, they were so interested by it and everything, and of course, first things all they were doing was just shooting the ball from half court and doing stuff like that. And then I remember trying to show them how in the fourth quarter, if you do it just right, you can break the backboard. And one of their first questions was, where's Kobe? And I said, hey, he wasn't around during this. And then they were like, well, where's Michael Jordan? And I'm like, oh, believe me, we were all sitting there as kids wondering why is Michael Jordan in this game.
Scottie Pippen was in that game.
Yeah.
Yep, and I remember us just being like, where's Michael Jordan at? And all of us just wanted to play as him, or we'd go play as Magic and play as Shaq and stuff like that. But I know when my wife and I first started dating, Minecraft was a fun game that we'd all play together, because even though I didn't live at the house, when we first started dating, they were able to play with me when I lived in my apartment nearby. So it was something that I kind of got to connect with them and do beforehand. So Minecraft was a big one. Otherwise, they had a fun time trying to watch me play Fortnite. I suck at it, but I was trying just to check it out, and they were really good at it. They were so good at it. But we did have a lot of fun playing Call of Duty too, playing either zombies or just team deathmatch against each other and going around.
Well, may I suggest the NBA Jam for PlayStation 2 for the three of you to play, because that is extremely fun.
Yep. I know somebody with Gaming Off the Grid was a huge fan of it. I think it's the NBA Jam on PlayStation 3, maybe it was, or something. And yeah, that looks pretty fun. And yeah, we were really into those arcade games.
Yeah, it's just like a more modern version. It's definitely fun. I never played the PS3 one, but I played the PS2 one with two of my buddies, because you can do 3 people at a time. You need a multi-tap. But you enter in the codes too. You remember you can enter in the little turn codes?
Oh, yep.
Oh my God. If all 3 of you get a code in, you could literally make the opponent get 2 to 4 points. That's it. You can hold them the whole game, and you can score high 200. I have photos in my old phone of high 300s that we were scoring on them, because you would just steal the ball, pass it to the guy, and he'd shoot it, and then you get the hot spots. But yeah, it's fun. But I'll pass it off to you now, Mr. Dan.
All right. Let me ask a couple questions here. So you mentioned you were, during different stages, you were collecting like crazy, and then you sold off a lot of stuff. So how big is your collection right now as compared to in the past? Like, what stage was it the biggest, I guess?
So at one point, like I said, I was buying like crazy, and when I first started collecting, I really went NES wild at first. I had probably about up to, I want to say about 130, 150 NES games. Most of it just shovelware, just grabbing whatever I could get. So I just kind of, my collection right now, some of the most games I own is probably for Xbox and Xbox 360. Just because I like the way that the green, especially on the original Xbox, I love the way the cases look on the shelf. If I would have to put as many games as I probably have right now, I'd probably be to the 300 to 400 range. I didn't really get much more than that when I was going crazy, but I did end up selling off a bunch of the shovelware and stuff like that to get the games I actually wanted. Stuff like Resident Evil 2 and 3 and some other games like that. So, yeah, I kind of bought a bunch of games I didn't want, and then ended up getting rid of them so I could get games I actually wanted.
That doesn't sound too bad, I guess. Is there anything that you got rid of that you regret and you wish you had, or you're gonna try to go back and try to find again?
Not as an adult. Most of the stuff I have now was just stuff I actually wanted, and I really didn't get rid of anything too expensive or anything like that I didn't want to play. But as a kid, I know a lot of us had those GameStop stories, and I remember, I want to say it was PlayStation 1 era was full in effect, and we were almost in the PS2 times. But what happened was I had a bunch of crazy PlayStation 1 RPGs, stuff like all the Final Fantasies, all the Grandinas and stuff like that. Breath of Fire 3 and 4, Lunar, Silver Story, and stuff like that. And I remember my buddy telling me about GameStop, and I was talking about not having much money growing up, where stuff like that, and he was just fascinated. He's like, you can go there, you can trade in all your old games, and they'll give you credit, and you can get new games for them. And I'm like, oh, really? So, yeah, and I remember going down there and taking a box full of games, all my old ones, trading them all in, and maybe picking up like 3 or 4 new ones, and just being fascinated by it, and being like, this is so cool, so awesome. And then, now, after not collecting for so many years and going back as an adult and looking at the value of some of those games I traded in, now it's just like, holy cow. And that's like one of my biggest regrets is, as a kid, being introduced to GameStop. And just that fascination with trading. I don't think I ever threw any games away, but I threw a lot of games at GameStop.
Yeah, that's a pretty good regret. I think a lot of us have the similar regrets when it comes to GameStop.
Oh man. Yeah. So insane.
How about handhelds? Are you into handheld games at all?
Not really too much. I'm a big fan of just the Switch tablet mode. The job I have, I work in an ethanol plant, so I work swing shift, 12-hour shifts and stuff like that. So I have been known to stick my Switch in there every once in a while. But we have to have people at the plant running it, 24/7. And so when here in Iowa we got crazy winter, so I know I'm getting snowed in out there a couple times. It was so fun to just bring my Switch out there, and even some of my coworkers, and hooking up to the projector we had there in the training room, and some of my coworkers there, they don't really play games, but it's kind of fun just showing them Mario Kart and stuff like that, how it's changed from way back in the day. I won in an Instagram giveaway a nice little modded Game Boy that's backlit and stuff like that, and I have tried to every once in a while play the original Wind Waker and stuff. Otherwise, my go-to has always been just the consoles themselves and TV. I do have a portable PlayStation 1 with a screen though.
That's cool.
Oh, cool.
Those are neat. All right, my final question is, so you're from Iowa. Did you grow up? You born and raised there?
I actually was born 10 miles from where I live. We live in a very small town area. I think our town has maybe 600-700 people, and that's the way it is around this community around here. All these little towns around here don't have that many, tops 1,000 people. I was born here, and then I did live in Nebraska for about 10 or 11 years, and then we did move back here after my parents got divorced. But yeah, I've lived in this general area most of my life, and really haven't gone anywhere. I haven't seen the world at all. I think I've been to Canada fishing. Otherwise, Colorado Springs, stuff like that's the farthest I've ever been in the area. I've been really, really stuck here. But the thing is, the funny part is I wouldn't really change it because I love the Midwest, so I would like to venture out sometime, but...
Yeah, my question is for people who've never visited that section of the country. How's the gaming scene around there? Do you have a lot of, retro stores and did you have arcades back in the day? How was it growing up there and seeing and playing games and stuff?
So there's not very much retro growing around here now, and if there is, I really haven't talked to too many people around here that are into it. I have converted some of my friends into playing old games again. Just like, they'd catch me at YouTube or catch me watching YouTube at work and stuff like that. And then I even had one of my coworkers drop, some money down and get a RetroPie, and I kind of helped him hook up with a flash, with a little card so he could play some of his older games that he liked. And we do have one store around here that it's about probably half hour or so away that specializes in trade-ins and stuff like that. And they'll take any games, and they actually have a pretty nice collection of retro games and stuff. And she's got, it's a very cool store. I had a picture one time and I meant to upload it, but they did a nice, huge video game mural on the side of the building and stuff like that. And it's pretty awesome out here, especially since, like I said, we have small communities, small towns. I remember growing up and going to a Job Corps around here and hanging out with kids from bigger cities, and we'd play Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that. And I remember being fascinated by that and loving that, and then coming back here and it's just not something really to do around here because it's just, we're farm kids. We're into sports and stuff like that. Not a lot of people were really into the fantasy scene, and it was kind of almost, with a lot of places, it's getting better nowadays. Being a nerd is cool nowadays, it seems like, but back then, it's really taboo that, or you'd get made fun of or stuff like that, and now it's like everybody is into that stuff. I think, but the retro gaming scene around here is not too good. I think that's why I really love YouTube, is talking with other people from, farther out, and actually meeting a few people that aren't too far away. Like I mentioned earlier, gaming off the grid, they're, I think, about 2-3 hours away. Big Family Gaming, he lives down by Kansas City and stuff like that, so that's really cool. So if I ever go down to that area, I can hang out with him. But otherwise, we didn't have much for arcades. I know we had it was called Aladdin's Castle or something in the mall that's like an hour away, and it was so cool to be able to go there. Dad gave me like $10 or something while he went shopping, and I would just spend the afternoon in the arcade about once every few months or so that was really cool. But otherwise, I think you'd get lucky at a laundromat, they'd have an old Pac-Man game, or you'd have to go to Pizza Hut or something like that.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks for that. That's really interesting. I remember I myself, used to travel quite a bit to go to Aladdin's Castle just to play some arcade games when I was younger. Yeah. So
that's about all. That was all we had around here.
Yeah. All right. That's all I had. Thanks.
Did you have any questions for us?
We kind of talked about it a little bit earlier, but one of my things was just, what's something that you've gotten rid of from your youth that you wish you would have held on to?
Go ahead, Bones.
Sega CDX.
Oh.
Dan?
Oh man, that's a tough question. Because I have gone back and collected everything, but probably that I lost. But the thing that I lost earlier was two things was Earthbound for the SNES. I had to go back and piece that back together after losing that, and then the original NES set with the robot, Rob the Robot. I lost that box and I had to go back and piece that back together as well.
Yeah, you talk about Earthbound. I'm talking about that little dinky small town gaming store, and I remember I went in there with my one buddy, and she had a complete Earthbound there, and I remember us just sitting there amazed that she had it, but she was selling it, and of course, I was being an adult and being able to get loans and stuff nowadays. I was almost ready to go to my bank to get a loan so I could go back and get it, because it was just like I was joking around with my wife, and she's like, "Well, I'm glad you didn't do that. It was way too much money," because it was a couple thousand, And I was like, you don't understand how much of a holy grail this is. I was like, I would almost drive home just to grab every video game I owned and bring it back to trade in just to get that, because it was just. And I remember standing there, and I'm just like, I turned to her and I go, to the lady that worked there, I'm like, can I just hold it at least? And she's like, yeah, didn't she let me hold it? And I was just like, wow. And she also had, I think it was a complete Chrono Trigger next to it. And I asked her about it, and she said, well, her dad was a big collector when he was younger, and when over the years he kind of just boxed and put everything away, and I think he was in need of money, so he kind of gave it to her. He knew she had the store, so he was selling a lot of his stuff off. And just seeing a complete Chrono Trigger and Earthbound, two, very amazing Super Nintendo RPGs, and just being like, wow. And yeah, it was just a really cool moment just to be able to hold it.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, for me, I actually didn't really get rid of any of my stuff. Even as a kid, I have all my games, and I had things stolen from me, but that was pretty much about it. And the stuff that was stolen found a way back.
Oh yeah.
Not by the person that stole it, but
that'd be pretty funny.
yeah, I stole this like 15 years ago. You can have it back.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we've all traded in. Chris, you have, and you still saved yours.
Yeah, I never traded anything.
I traded in stuff at numerous places. Hollywood Videos Game Crazy was my nightmare, and so was Funko Land. Funko Land was guaranteed the one that got my CD at.
Funko Land with the $5 NES games.
Tons of stuff to Game Crazy. Xbox systems that were brand spanking new. All of my good games they took and left me with the sports ones. That's what I started with when I reacquired most of the collection that I did get back. Was all the junk titles that I was left with that they wouldn't buy.
Any other questions?
Besides video games, do you guys have any other kind of stuff you like to collect, or toys, or sports cards, or anything?
Me, that would be a negative. I have nothing else. I love collecting games. That's my hobby. That's my passion. Dan?
Geez, I collect everything. I mean, like, I am also, you mentioned Dungeons and Dragons, so I'm also a pen and paper RPG gamer, so I collected comic books back in the day, but I had to stop because it was just costing too much money. I collect movies. I have a lot of DVDs and Blu-rays. I collect Legos. And back in the day, the thing from my childhood, the toy besides video games, I was really into GI Joe figures. So I have a pretty decent GI Joe collection from back in the day that I kept. But I don't collect the newer stuff. But I do have a lot of stuff from back then. So that's pretty much it.
Cool.
Speaking of movies, I mean, I don't. As a family, we get movies, so I do have quite a big movie collection. But for me, it's just basically gaming. Go ahead, Bones.
Well, I don't want to say I love movies, but I'm not necessarily a collector. But I do love movies. That's going to be my other most used pastime. Is going to be YouTube and movies. That's my thing. I like that. But I wouldn't say I'm a movie collector yet. I'd like to, but if you're doing too many different hobbies, you're not really putting enough into one that you really want to do. So I'm on the same boat with Chris where it's mainly all video games. The Z06 is for a model Corvette. I'm a Corvette guy. I like Corvettes. So I have a Corvette. That's my other hobby.
You don't want to start collecting VHSs, laser discs, or anything like that?
They started the laser disc train.
I never even knew laser discs was a thing really until a couple of years ago when I was like seeing some of them and I thought they were just soundtracks for movies and I was like, no, this is the movie. And then I remember looking more into that, but I was always weary about jumping on the VHS thing because I know Goodwill always had.
Oh no, man! I'm staying away from that.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I said after watching one of my buddies do it, and then it took up so much room, and I was just like, I have some of the classics like the Bill and Ted's, Star Wars trilogy, Indiana Jones and stuff on VHS, but like he said, I'm not gonna grab everything I see inside. I'm only gonna get the ones that are fun to watch or stuff like that. Like I said, Three Ninjas, stuff like that from when I was a kid that we watched every night. And
Turtles.
I'll get those. Turtles, yep, exactly.
Yeah, I kept some. Like I have my Evil Dead VHSs.
Yeah.
I kept some of my dad's old VHSs. I think like his Sherlock Holmes's was his favorite, so I saved all of those. Like, I have some VHS, but those are all just put away too. I don't ever watch them.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
I guess the only one I can think of is, so growing up, was it Super Nintendo or was it Sega?
Both.
Both.
Both. But I didn't get a Super Nintendo until like way later.
I got my first Super Nintendo about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I had both systems, but I tended to always get the Super Nintendo version because it was usually slightly better, you know.
Yeah.
But sometimes, you know, I would get the Genesis version for whatever reason.
I was more or less Super as well. Super Nintendo for the most part, yeah. So, I mean, I got a Sega later on, but I would definitely usually stick more towards the Nintendo brand for most of my consoles. Other than when you start getting a disc based, like you said, you jump into PlayStation and stuff. Screw Nintendo, when PlayStation 2 and stuff was rolling around, like I could have cared less about playing much Nintendo. Was the GameCube cool? Yeah, it's cool, but there wasn't as much on it. Same thing with the Wii. I love the Wii. I have some love for it, but I would definitely prefer, and it's more or less, in my opinion, the age range that they're trying to get to when you got your PlayStation.
Exactly.
Even when you think about 64 versus the PlayStation, what drew me more to the PS1? Twisted Metal and Twisted Metal 2 and Doom. And okay, you got Doom 64 eventually on the 64, but there were so many more older kid-style games, in my opinion, that I always gravitated more to them later on down the road.
And yeah, and that's exactly true. I've always said that too. Like GameCube and Wii and stuff was cool, but I only got it to play, Zelda, Mario Party, and some of those party games like that. It wasn't, there was, it was. They really kind of went from being all around to just. I always called them the kiddie consoles because it seemed like they were just basing their library on games for kids.
Well, and I'm fine with that because the kids out there, they need a console to play.
Yeah.
That isn't run around and kill 15 hookers and rob 30 it's like that's. I get it. Like, it doesn't bother me, but that's not going to make me gravitate towards that console much anymore.
Yeah. Exactly. That's about all I got.
All right. Last segment of the podcast, game of the month. Dan.
My game of the month is a game that just came out. Is Far Cry 6. I just got it, and I like the series, so I'm looking forward to getting into this.
Bones, game of the month.
I'm gonna go with King of the Fighters 94 for the Neo Geo CD.
Oh.
And Zach, game of the month.
Game of the month. I got to go with God of War on the PS4. Like I said, I've been an Xbox man since the original Xbox. I'm not a fanboy by any means, but I just kind of been. That's kind of all what my friends had. So like especially when we started the Xbox 360 and we had achievement points and stuff like that, and all the years of just playing it and getting digital games and on it, I was always kind of an Xbox man. Well, I finally picked up a PlayStation 3 last year, and then I recently got a PS4. And it's just weird having a modern, Sony system. But I missed all the exclusives for that whole, all those generations with the God of War, the Uncharted.
Oh yeah, God of War is one big franchise you definitely want to play.
Yep. And I'm going back now, and I'm playing them, and I really missed out. I know that, but I watched my buddy play God of War, and I was like, this is amazing. And then the whole, just the cool, like even like the throwing the axe and doing like the whole Thor's hammer thing, where you just hold your arm out and it comes right back to your hand, and it's the story. And so far, I'm about 25% the way through. and the story is just insane, and the fighting and everything. And to me, it's a very amazing game. Definitely worth playing. And I'd have to say that, yeah, I'm actually looking forward to getting around to playing it tonight once my wife falls asleep.
And my game of the month is going to not be your typical game of the month. I'm going to go with Wii Sports. I actually really enjoy that game. I like playing with the kids. I could play bowling all night long.
Yes, definitely bowling.
Anyway, I'd like to thank you for coming on, Zach.
For
the podcast.
No, thank you guys for having me. I know, I like you said,
Wow, it was a great time, man.
Yeah, and this is just getting the dust sleeves and stuff like that, and then knowing that you had a podcast, and then just talking video games. I always love doing stuff like this, and it was good that we can get this scheduled and set up like this. And yeah, happy Halloween, guys.
Yeah, definitely happy Halloween.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely, man.
it is Halloween now.
Yeah, it is. It's officially Halloween.
Yeah, it is.
I am Mario. I'm Mario, and my youngest is Luigi.
Hey, awesome.
For Halloween.
That's cool.
Well, have a good time trick or treating.
Yeah. Gotta get the dad tax, get all the recess.
I had a great time, man.
Yeah, you guys too.
Please like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, don't blow, just leave. Later.
See you.
Have a good one.
I'm waving, but you can't see.